30, Wednesday, February 18th. This is the regular meeting of the Harpswell Planning Board. I'm Amy Heibel, the chair, and meeting to order, and I'm asking our vice chair, Dan Hobeck, to lead us in the pledge.
Okay.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay.
All right. I'd like to introduce members and staff, and I'll begin with our newest member, Jim. And would you just say a little bit about yourself? Welcome to the board.
Yeah, hi, I'm Jim Babarski. I'm the newest member, associate member. Before this, I worked at the town as a communications specialist for a little under a year. Been a full-time resident for 5. My family's been here for, I think, 12 years now. Came out in the summers and all that. And I'm just really excited to be on the planning board and be involved with town again.
We're excited to have you, and you bring a lot of skills that we don't necessarily have to the board, so we really appreciate that, and look forward to working with you. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate. If you don't understand something, say it. This can be fairly complicated, but we all work together as a team, and usually if one of us has a skill that somebody else doesn't, we work together to really bring the best out of the whole effort. So don't hesitate to contribute or ask. All right?
Thank you.
So thank you.
Courtney Snellings.
Amy Heibel.
Dan Hobeck.
Christine Donovan Hall.
And I'm Margaret McIntyre, the town planner.
Thank you. All right, we have a quorum. Jim does not have to vote, but a quorum is 4 people, and we have 4 of our regular members here, so we're good to go. The first item on the agenda is an old business, James and Sarah Merriman Sightlines is representing them. This application has been before the board twice. It's been tabled. The last time we met, we had 2 outstanding issues that we asked the applicant to address. I believe they have addressed those, but we also have, we have a letter from the town attorney, which I'm sure everyone has read, and she suggests that we consider 3 issues about the application. One is the timing of the request to remove the lots from the subdivision. The subdivision is about 40 years old. And then reliance interests by other subdivision owners. And the third is reason for the request to remove the lots from the subdivision. So those are 3 issues that we will have to address tonight, among others. But I'd like to turn it over to Margaret to see if Margaret has any summary that she wants to make.
Before we get there, we have a lot of participation by Zoom today, which is a little unusual for us. I want everybody in the room and by Zoom to know that all of the information that we're discussing tonight is available on our website if anybody wants to follow along from home. If you go to I don't know if it's government. Hold on one second. Now I've forgotten the way to get there. If you go to town departments and then planning, on the Town of Harpswell website, town departments, planning, planning board, you'll get to all of our pending applications, and then all the material for all the applications is available on our website that we'll be discussing tonight. Also, if you want to speak by Zoom, you're welcome to raise your hand. There'll be a public comment period for each item if you're interested.
Yeah. So want to welcome those who are attending by Zoom. It's a great way to attend meetings. Margaret, if I forget or any of the board members, if I forget to do a roll call vote, please don't hesitate to remind me because I might forget. And don't hesitate to raise your hand if you're on Zoom and you have a question.
So at the last meeting for this Tranquil Shores subdivision amendment, we kind of concluded the first round, which was this kind of argument by Sightlines that the two lots should not be included in the subdivision. It kind of got debunked by our town attorney, and so we said kind of come back with a more clear intent of why you want to do this. And then the other two items were about informed consent and right-of-way, and he presented all that additional information, and now we're kind of here discussing, just reviewing the information and kind of figuring out how to move forward.
And the request is to remove two lots from the subdivision, to get planning board to approve the removal of two lots from the subdivision, so that at least one of those lots, then once it's removed from the subdivision, can be further subdivided to give the remaining property to family, or to sell, or to convey the remaining property to family in order to create a sort of family compound there. At this time, I'll hear from the applicant, and then the planning board can ask questions, and then the planning board will have a dialogue amongst itself. But you're always welcome to come up and address us. And state your name and...
Good evening, Kevin Clark from Sightlines, here with Jim Merriman tonight. I will go through quickly some of the additional materials that we submitted, and then some of just a few comments, and then be happy to answer questions. At the previous meeting, one of the other requests was a plan that showed all of the existing lots on the original lots on the subdivision. So we provided a plan that shows, the original shore lot, and then the recent division of 4A and B, and then this is the lots 5 and 6 that we're talking about, sort of one on each side of the road. And our ultimate proposal, which is not what we're asking the planning board to approve, we're basically asking the planning board to remove these two lots from the subdivision, vacate the approval of those two lots, so that they're not subject to, one, the subdivision restrictions, and two, the subdivision ordinance, specifically minimum lot size.
Right.
And that's sort of our long game, but that's, the first step is to ask for that removal. And we also submitted just a blow-up showing the future plans. We also showed the correction for Mr. Losey's right-of-way, although he was the one going through the subdivision approval before. They neglected to provide a right-of-way all the way to his lot on the shore. So
Okay.
we've shown that on there as well.
Okay.
And that's something that needs to be, as we move through the process, taken care of through a deed or easement deed.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. I'd just like to expand a little bit on the three items that Attorney Cho requested that we additionally address. The first being the timing. I think I can read back what I said, but essentially, the timing is, as Mr. Merriman's children are older now and want to live and work here in Harpswell, the only way they can do that is, with some help from their parents, and this is the opportunity. They own this land, and they would be able to, provide that for their children. And I think, something interesting, I had quoted something previously that from the comp plan, but then about the same day that I submitted my application, you folks republished the changes to the comp plan, so I didn't quite get that in there. But the new one, the comp plan even recognized that it's become difficult for several segments of the population to afford to live in Harpswell, including people working in the fishing community, essential workers, young families, and elderly residents who want to age in place. And this is one of our goals here, is to help, at least in this instance, this family address that issue. Reliance by the other subdivision lot owners. We've received letters from all of the owners. And again, the reason for the request is these lots can't be configured to split into two lots that meet 80,000 square feet. Whereas if it weren't part of the subdivision and it was added into the subdivision 40 years ago because of, they were cleaning up many title issues. And so we're looking to, we would still meet or exceed that minimum lot size after the approvals, not the 80,000, but the 40,000 for those two lots. And I think the comp plan also identifies that the land use regulations are prohibitive to the creation of attainable housing. So I think this is something that goes along with sort of the goals of the comp plan, and we'd like to, try to make this work for the Merrimans. We've also looked at what the density of creating one more lot in this, what was originally 27 acres. Even if you added one more, we'd still be at 10, which would be way less than the minimum density if you were going through a subdivision. They would normally, if you did it roughly, you'd get 15, a density of 15 for this. And even after this removal and split, you'd only be looking at a density of 10
Okay.
in that area. So I thought that was an important term. And I think one of the other items was the conformity with local ordinances. I mean, if the request is approved, then it would conform. But it's sort of a circular argument. It doesn't conform if you're going to remove it, but once it is removed, it does conform with the
Right,
ordinance.
got it.
So
Yep.
I'm not sure if the right word is circumvent. I mean, I think we're trying to be upfront and explain the goals and explain what we're trying to accomplish here, where the ordinance doesn't seem to want to let us do it.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Is there anything else?
I think that would do it, and I'd be happy to answer questions as you have your discussion.
I would say you have honored your attempt to convince us very well.
All right, thank
You
you.
have done so does anybody have any questions? I'll open it up to the board now for discussion. Anybody in the Zoom world that has anything that they'd like to contribute, also feel free. Dan?
Okay. Initially, I was really reluctant to remove these lots from the subdivision, partly because of what our attorney suggested. However, the more I look at it and what your clear goal is here, I think one of the reasons why you would not want to remove property from a subdivision to create a smaller lot size is if someone is looking to take some property that would not otherwise conform and sell it off. Here, what you are doing is clearly clearly attempting to meet some of the goals in the comp plan, which is to, first of all, create a family compound, which is a great idea in and of itself, but to also provide housing for somebody who is interested in living and working in Harpswell. So I think this is one of those, when we take a look at it, I think we have to look at it on a case-by-case basis, and what is the goal that we are trying to accomplish here? And I think you very well stated that it meets not only the family goals, but it meets some of the goals that we have here in the town of Harpswell. So I think you did a good job. Thank you.
I feel uncomfortable, I have to say, because of what Amy Chow had said about the possible impact on other people in the subdivision. I mean, it was very confusing the way things were done originally, where supposedly 2 lots were being set aside, and those could not be part of the subdivision. They couldn't be sold until X time, and they were sold before that time. And then the planning board had to do a kind of like, oh dear, now we have a different situation, so we have to redefine this subdivision. And whereas I'm on the housing committee, so I very well understand how difficult it is to find places to live here. But I'm uncomfortable with summarily agreeing that we would remove these 2 lots from the subdivision. It's true, the Merriman family probably will have a family compound and they'll live there, but possibly they could be sold later and then several residences put on them. And then if I'm a member of the subdivision, I'd be going, geez, this isn't what I signed up for. Now I've got a couple of, smaller lots. So I'm not an attorney, but I'm just uncomfortable with that. So.
Christine, do you have any comments?
I would say the same. I'm a little concerned with what Courtney said because the potential of selling it and then maybe in the future more housing being there and things like that. So I'm on the side where I'm a little concerned about maybe setting a precedent. I think we may need some more discussion on that because then other people could do the same thing, in the future. So that's my concern.
Thank you. Okay. So I have a couple of comments just regarding Ms. Chow's letter. She said that it is within the planning board's purview to approve a subdivision amendment. And she made it clear what normally subdivision amendments, what normally constitutes subdivision amendments. Normally, they include making a minor change to correct a line that needs to be redrawn. They might also include one of the property owner's decision to purchase an abutting property and combine 2 lots within the subdivision, and thereby reducing the number of lots in the subdivision itself, but keeping the subdivision whole, the way that it was originally drawn. The timing of the changes also tend to be, the corrections and other changes tend to be fairly quickly after the subdivision has been approved. Not always, but generally fairly quickly. In this case, it's 40 years since the subdivision was first recorded. So the timing issue, while Mr. Clark really addressed it, it is relevant to the family, absolutely. The kids have gotten older, and they'd like to make some changes. So from the timing for the family's point of view makes sense. And the reliance interests by other subdivision lot owners, Ms. Chow asked us to consider that there are other lot owners in the subdivision, and they may they may have something to say about how we exercise our authority. And with the applicants were asked to get letters of consent, which they did. The last thing was really the reason, and that's what has me. That's what has me slowing down. The goal of the property owners to create legal lots for family is in conflict with the town's legal obligation to uphold its own subdivision law. If we do not uphold our own subdivision ordinance, which was adopted by a town meeting, we set a precedent for any other property owner in a subdivision who can get the consent of the other subdivision owners to essentially erase the subdivision, which would in effect nullify or emasculate the subdivision ordinance that we have. And I remain concerned that we should not be treading in those waters. So I guess I would ask, can the applicant convince the board or explain to the board how this is not an attempt to subvert or circumvent our subdivision ordinance? And I don't think you can, but go ahead. I mean, we're certainly willing to hear.
If I could speak to that for a moment, I think one of the things that is unique to Harpswell's ordinance, not totally unique, because in some towns it does exist, in other towns it does not, is the requirement that the subdivision can never be amended. Many towns, and it's been upheld by the courts, after 5 years, a modification can happen without subdivision approval, even the splitting of lots that would conform. So I think that's one thing that's unique to your ordinance. It's in there, but these lots have been there for 40 years in their current configuration. And it's not, and, there were items, of violation at the time, which required the lots to be included in the subdivision. And then there were later changes to the lots that didn't get approved by the planning board. They did the little slivers on each side of the roadway, but there's an ordinance or a statute that covers that, where after 20 years, then there's no effect, there's no ability to regulate that. So I think one thing is the time that those lots have been, it's not like we created a subdivision that was at the very minimum, the tightest density possible, and then we're trying to split those lots in half. This was several lots over a large parcel of land, and we're looking to increase the density by one lot.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
I have a couple more comments based on what has been said. One of the things that, when I think about subdivisions, they are not sacrosanct. They are developed at a time when you take a look at a large piece of property and decide what you believe at that time would be the best long-term use of the property. One of the reasons why we do like subdivisions, particularly if they're on the waterfront, is that subdivisions limit the number of docks that you can put out. And so, if we had a subdivision that was on the water and somebody said, I'd really like to get out of that subdivision because I want to put out my own dock, that is clearly an attempt to subvert the goal of the subdivision. In this case, if you had said to me 40 years ago that one of the basic issues that we were going to have in Harpswell was to find affordable housing for people who want to work within the community, it may have been discussed generally, but that was not a major issue. And so one of the things that I look at with the subdivision and removing stuff from the subdivision is that we have to take a look at when it was established, what kind of changes may have occurred since the time it was established, what the use of the property, the prospective use of the property is as it's removed. As I talked before, you're planning on selling it for development or something like that. we do have to be concerned about in terms of what the long-term effect would be, but, but to use conjecture as to how the property might change from a family use 20, 30, 40 years ago is kind of a separate issue for me. So those are my thoughts on it.
Okay. All right.
Any public comment?
Yeah, well, we've certainly invited public comment. If anybody has anything they'd like to say, either by Zoom or,
Why is there something blinking up there?
Yeah.
That's just, I should ask you,
I
Mr.
don't know.
I
Kev.
think it's just muted.
Okay.
all right, Margaret, do you have anything further to add?
Not particularly. I had a very hard time doing the draft motions for this one. I just didn't quite know, first of all, where the discussion was going to go tonight, and second of all, by way of like process, how do we kind of process our way through that? How do our draft motions look? Do we, how do we kind of weed our way through this? So it was really a very big challenge. All the applications tonight were really challenging to me,
Yeah.
starting with this one for sure. But it kind of just gets us back to, I feel like, the point of Amy Chow's letter, and we kind of have to make our determination based, she brought up some good points. Do we agree with them? Do we not agree with them? And kind of how to move forward.
What are those points that, do you think?
The intent mostly. I mean, there's really good consent from the neighbors. It's very clear they understand what the intent is. And Kevin's revised application really clearly states, like, this is why we're trying to do it. And I think that was really helpful because it wasn't as clear in the previous applications.
Okay. Anything else?
I don't know. No, I don't have any good answers.
Okay.
This one was really
All right.
hard.
But okay, so Amy Chow, I have to go back to the fact that she is the lawyer I'm not a lawyer, lawyer that was hired by the town. And I think her letter advises against removing lots from the subdivision. That is the message that I got from that. And so that's where I stand on it. I'm just, as I said, I'm uncomfortable. We did get another opinion from another lawyer from the applicant, but I felt Amy Chow said she debunked it, and I thought she had debunked it. So I still have the same position. On the other hand, of course, I would like to see the Merrimans be able to do something for their kids, and I'm just going to throw out the idea of an ADU. So long as the covenants of Tranquil Shores do not preclude ADUs. An ADU that a family member would live in. On your behalf, I looked up plans today for an ADU because it's 750 square feet max. And I saw some really nice ones, 2 bedrooms, bath, dining room, kitchen. And I thought, let the parents live in the regular house, put one of the kids in an ADU, and then they get a family or whatever, and it's like mom and dad out. You come to the ADU, and we'll take the house. So that's just something, I do feel for you. I have a kid in Wyndham and one in North Yarmouth. They'd sure like to be here. I'd love to be able to bring them in. But, we are sympathetic to your family situation. I'm just uncomfortable with how I'm being asked to solve the problem.
So I want to clarify Amy Chow's letter. The first proposal from the applicant was that the 2 lots were not included in the subdivision anyway, and that we could just essentially accept that argument and proceed on our accepting that the argument that the 2 lots weren't, or the lot wasn't in the subdivision, wasn't part of it. Amy, that was the idea that Ms. Chow said, that does not stand, argument does not hold water. I don't really like the word debunk, but she essentially countered that argument, I think, successfully. What Ms. Chow said was that we should tread carefully. And what I hear in that is precedent. Precedent, precedent, precedent. If we decline to remove these lots from the subdivision, if we decline the authorization, it's not as though the kids don't have someplace else to go. They're already there. It's just that the legal lot will not be available. And I go back to saying that while I totally understand the desire for the family to own a legal lot, I get that. What that does, though, is it sets the town up in a position where the town has to abandon its own legal ordinance in order to accommodate a particular situation. And setting precedent there it scares me. I really don't want to do that. So that's where I stand on it. I totally understand, but I think in this case, and I can foresee this affordable housing argument coming before the board time after time after time now, trying to get the board to reduce lot sizes in subdivisions that have already been approved. That's what we'll open ourselves up to. And if the board wants to open itself up to that kind of stuff to come before it, then the board will have to deal with it. I'm not interested in doing that. I think that's a real kettle of fish. So we have 2 possible motions. I'm trying to find them here. And I'm a little bit confused about this too. Margaret, do we have to go through this as though it's a formal subdivision? So we have to address the adequacy of the submission and the conformance with standards?
I don't necessarily think so. I just could not, no, I don't think so, no. But I also could not wrap my head around what would we say alternatively.
I think we have to be very careful about how we proceed. And I wish Ms. Chow was here. I'm going to suggest that we use your findings because at least that gives us some kind of written confirmation of how we have gone about making our decision.
And it also gives a basis for appeal. If somebody did want to appeal it, then they can, you know, I like the idea of written findings as well.
Okay. So I'd love to entertain a motion.
You know that I'm not going to do it because I never know how to say it properly.
Oh, it's
So,
written
sorry.
right down here, though. Okay.
Where are you? I can read something. Oh, at the very end.
So,
I mean, and you don't have to make either of those motions
Yeah.
either. That was just me trying to process through how this might be handled at the meeting.
well, I will make the motion, and then somebody can second it or not second it, and then we can discuss it. and move on. So I will move that the planning board finds that the removal of lots 5 and 6 from the Tranquil Shores subdivision is in conflict with the intent of the subdivision ordinance and seeks to circumvent the land use regulations imposed on lots 5 and 6 of the Tranquil Shores subdivision when agreed upon and approved by the planning board in 1983 and amended in 1988.
See where you are.
I'll second that motion. Christine Donovan Hall.
All right, is there any discussion?
Oh, I've said what I thought already.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right, all in favor?
Do we have to
The
do?
roll call.
Yeah, we have to have a
Yes,
roll
that is
call.
true. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Courtney Snellings, aye for the motion.
Amy Hybel, aye for the motion.
Dan Holbeck, no.
Christine Donovan Hall, aye for the motion.
All right, the motion has been carried.
Okay.
All right. I think, is that it? Are we done?
I don't know.
There was a lot of other
Truthfully,
stuff
I've
here.
thought, truthfully, I mean, we can go through the draft motions, and there's very little findings that you guys need to find if you want to do that.
All right,
I mean,
let's look at the adequacy of the submission.
Yeah.
I move that the planning board finds that based on the revised application submitted by Sightlines dated January 28th, 2026, and the completeness review by the town planner dated February 16th, 2026, the application of James and Sarah Merriman meets the requirements of Section 8.3.2 of the subdivision ordinance for a subdivision amendment, and therefore is to be determined to be a complete application. What I'm doing here is I am pulling out for the board the recognition that the material that has been submitted by Sightlines meets the requirements of the zoning ordinance. It doesn't mean that it's approved. It means that the submission materials meet the requirements of the zoning ordinance. That's what it means. So there's a motion made by the chair, Amy Hybel, and looking for a second.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Courtney Snelling.
And I second it. I approve Christine Donovan Hall.
Yay, Amy Hybel.
Yay, Courtney Snellings.
Yay, Dan Holbeck.
Thank you, Dan. All right, so Section 9 of the subdivision ordinance sets out standards that the application has to meet to be approved by the planning board. And Section 9 sets two sets of reviews, the statutory subdivision review from the state subdivision law and then additional local standards. In some cases, these two sets of standards overlap, and the ordinance requires that the planning board make a finding that each of the standards is met. So we have to go through this. And the first is state statutory review standards under Title 30, A MRSA 4404. Those set out standards that planning board has to find to approve a subdivision plan. So I will move that the planning board finds that the application of James and Sarah Merriman to remove lots 5 and 6 from Tranquil Shores subdivision plan does not meet the state statutory review standards based on the following findings, which are incorporated into this motion by reference. Number 1, pollution. 1.5, number 2, sufficient water. Number 3, municipal water supply. Number 4, erosion. Number 5, traffic. Number 6, sewage disposal. Number 7, municipal solid waste disposal. Number 8, aesthetic, cultural, and natural values. And number 9, I'm sorry, I'm making that motion through 1 through 8.
I'll second. Courtney Snellings.
looking, okay, thank you. So the motion on the table is that the planning board finds that the application, I'm sorry. Phew, I'm sorry, I read it incorrectly. This is indeed complicated. So the motion is that the Tranquil Shores subdivision plan does not meet the state statutory requirements. Okay, so we went through pollution, sufficient water, erosion, traffic, and now we're on item 9, conformity with local ordinances and plans. And this standard is not met based on the following findings: that Lot 5 and 6 are part of an approved subdivision plan, and the lots will continue to be subject to the subdivision ordinance because they are part of a, quote, division of land within the boundaries of the town of Harpswell previously subdivided, and removing lots from the subdivision would allow for more increased development than otherwise possible if the lots were subject to land use standards of lots within a subdivision. Number 10, financial and technical capacity. Number 11, surface waters. Number 12, groundwater. Number 13, flood areas. Number 14, freshwater. Number 15, farmland. Number 16, river, stream, or brook. Number 17, stormwater. Number 18, spaghetti lots prohibited. Number 19, lake phosphorus concentration. Number 20, impact on adjoining municipalities. And number 21, land subject to liquidation harvesting. That motion has been made and seconded, and we will take a vote on those.
Madam Chair, could I ask for a clarification on that?
Yes.
I believe that all of those criteria, except the motion should have read, or was written, that all of the criteria were met except for number 9.
That is correct.
Yeah.
And that was what I was trying to do. That, I did not do it very well, but you're correct. Those are met. The one that is not met
Is number 9.
is number 9.
Yep.
Thank you for that. So the motion has been made and seconded and clarified.
Okay, good. Yeah. All right.
Okay. I'm not sure that this is being done correctly,
Okay.
because what we are assuming in this motion is that the lots will remain within the subdivision. Whereas what we're really looking at is, we're not looking at changing a lot line within the subdivision or creating lots which don't meet the subdivision requirements. What we're talking about is removing the lots from the subdivision. So all of these other things about, are all of these provisions from within the subdivision applicable or not? And
Then,
the answer is,
yeah,
and the answer to my way of thinking is no. My thinking is, and, I'm not asking for a vote on that, but to determine whether what we're really asking for is whether they have met the criteria for removing property from the subdivision.
that is correct.
By way of a lot line amendment, though. Right? That's kind of the only avenue that we have is a lot line amendment.
Yeah, okay,
That's how I see it. I see it how your version too.
yeah.
And the motion is that while they meet the other requirements, which they met presumably in the amendments that were previous, that this amendment would create lots of sizes that are in violation of the subdivision ordinance. So it's not
Were
in
it
conformance.
to remain within the
Yes.
subdivision, it would create those lots.
So essentially, we're saying it has to stay in the subdivision.
Right.
I understand what you're saying, and I would feel really comfortable if we had language from the town attorney
I'm
here.
thinking the same thing, because this is one of those cases where,
That's not ambiguous, because when you read her, some of it is a little wishy-washy to me. Like, this state what you think. So, you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, because, she said, be careful, and we've had a lot of discussion
She
about
did.
how careful we are.
Yeah.
But I think if this board is going to deny the application to remove it from the subdivision, it should be done in such a way where there are sufficient findings of fact and conclusions of law that would give them a record to appeal.
I completely agree with that, and
Yeah.
So if,
I do. I have to say, I don't think these findings are going to do that for us.
so my recommendation is that if the board as a whole feels that the application should be denied, that the town attorney be asked to provide the language necessary in order to create a record.
I think that is valid. What I was trying to do was to allow the applicants to get a final decision tonight and be free of that. But I don't think that's really possible. I think you're absolutely right, Dan. I think we need to make sure that we do this the right way. So I will withdraw my motions. And I will make another motion to table this application again until we can confer more deeply with the town attorney.
Yeah.
And I would suggest that that when we contact the attorney, that she be asked to show what kind of findings we need to make in order to remove from the subdivision or to keep it within the subdivision.
I would absolutely agree with that.
Because
So, yes,
yeah.
Yes.
Because we may, and that will allow us to, would also allow her to address the question that you have raised about, does the removal of this from a subdivision create
precedent.
a nasty precedent that we would be obligated to
Yep.
find absent specific findings of fact related to the particular application.
Okay, so we're going to ask the town attorney to do two things, Margaret.
Yeah.
Number one would be
Draft findings.
draft findings for denial based on concern about precedent, and any other case, similar cases that would pertain to our decision, but also to give us a legal option to approve the removal of the lots, again, based on precedent, without risk of undermining our own town subdivision ordinance.
And in the context of the recently adopted comprehensive plan.
Yes, because we may as well get that squared away
Yeah.
right off the bat.
Because that was one of the arguments that was made by the petitioner, is that this petition is consistent with what we're trying to accomplish in our comprehensive
It is in
plan.
some ways, but the comprehensive plan also made a very clear distinction to not have growth areas and to keep the town rural.
Okay, but,
So,
yeah, but
I'm-
let the town attorney weigh in on that.
Absolutely, but this is something that I think we need to be really careful about when we start banding the comprehensive plan around. There is some piece of mail, and this has nothing to do with this application, a piece of mail that we received that said that a proposal that is before the town was in direct conflict with the comprehensive plan, and that is completely false. And so I'm just saying the comp plan is going to be bandied around as a defense for certain points of view, and we have to be very careful about it. So I'm sorry to get off on a soapbox there, but I think You have your marching orders.
Yep.
So that was my motion to table.
Okay.
And to direct Margaret to do certain things. Is there a second to that motion?
Sure, why not? Courtney Stelling, seconded.
Okay. All in favor of the motion to table and redirect to the town attorney?
Christine Donovan Hall in favor?
Dan Hoback, aye.
Amy Hybel, aye.
Courtney Snelling's aye.
Thank you. Thank you. Sorry to do that to you. We're trying. We're doing the best we can.
And what we'll end up with, regardless of how this ends up,
Yeah.
the one thing that we want to make sure is that there is a good record.
Yes.
So that,
What?
A good
a
record.
good
Oh, right,
record.
right. Yeah.
So that should you wish to take further action, you have a record that you can act.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And on to the next. John Libby. And Joshua Kay.
Jim, aren't you glad you're on the planning board?
Oh, yeah, this is a fun
Yeah.
one to start with.
It really is. I mean, it,
Yeah.
Kevin, I think the meeting next month is on the 18th again, March 18th. Yeah.
Thank you.
Do you want to be a voting member tonight? You can, you certainly can.
You can vote anytime you want to, yeah.
I think I'm good for tonight.
Who wants to
Stick with
digest?
observing.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
that,
yeah. I appreciate you offering though.
but that is an option.
Okay, thank you.
And should you decide that if we hit one that you, well, yeah.
yeah, ask questions.
Okay.
Just because it sounds like we know what we want to do, or maybe it doesn't sound like
I was
that.
going to say, I don't think it does.
Yeah,
I
so,
think there's a lot of concern
So-
over precedent, and I think that's pretty reasonable, but I think that creating a record and,
Yeah.
having our attorney lay out everything is probably the best course of action, so.
yeah, okay. Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
All right, the next item of business is Joshua Kay, who is the owner, and John Libby Construction. This is an application for map 49, lot 7, 20 Pennell Road. It's for consideration of an application to reconstruct a dwelling within the Resource Protection District. And before we get started on the discussion, I'm going to ask Dan, who was the only planning board member who could make the site walk, to give us an update on what the site walk showed.
Okay. This is my time to shine, I'm so happy. Okay, this was a site walk that was attended by me as the only member of the planning board, along with the town planner and 2 members of the code enforcement office. This is a most unusual piece of property. Doing the site evaluation was really complicated by the fact that there was snowy ground, and it made it very difficult to find out where the shoreline was and how low and how high everything was. What I can tell you is that the roadside part of the property slopes greatly down, and then after that, the property more or less levels out. The vast proportion of the property being kind of almost a peninsula into the water, is more, even the part that appears to be solid ground seems to be included, a part of that is within the 75 feet of a high annual tide. So there's a very large portion of this property which is clearly not buildable because it doesn't meet the 75-foot requirement, regardless of where the highest annual tide is determined. In terms of the buildings themselves, they, I'm not an architect, but they certainly did not look habitable. In fact, I'm just gonna leave it like that. Any reconstruction of the building would appear to be impractical. So this is not a matter of a tear down of a building which has 50% of its value in a rebuild. But it's basically removing the existing building and then trying to find an appropriate use of the property that meets the terms of our ordinance.
Okay, that is exactly right. An appropriate use of the property that meets the terms of an ordinance.
If we can figure out what that is.
Yes, and again, I think having the town attorney's input on this is going to be perhaps, I anticipate that may be important, because there are several questions that Margaret has raised, and I'm going to suggest, if you have your ordinance with you, to turn to the shoreline zoning ordinance 10.3.2.2. So we're going to have to go through Margaret's points.
It's also on the next page.
Oh,
in
it
the-
is.
Yeah, if you look, the memo, the second page of the memo has.
Oh, okay.
10.3.2.2.
Yeah.
That right on the backside of that.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm actually looking at your February 13th
Yeah.
Yeah.
memo.
Sorry.
And that's,
What are we looking at?
I'm looking at the
And then I'm in
February
my
13th. But
shoreline.
Margaret, if you want to guide us through this, I was going to use that, your February 13th, as a way, because I just found that to be, that raised the hardcore issues right up front for me. But I'm very happy for you to lead us through this discussion.
Yes. I worked really, really hard on this over the last couple weeks. I reached out to Diane. I reached out to another woman in John Libby's office. We've talked to codes, we've been to the site. I reached out to the town attorney, I reached out to MMA Legal, and I reached out to the shoreline zoning coordinator. And all together, I did not get any satisfactory answers that really helped me understand how our shoreline zoning ordinance applies in this specific situation. It's a really unique lot with a lot of different things going on. John Libby's office provided a lot of additional material, some of which you got a couple days ago, some of which you got this afternoon. It's got a lot going on, and without understanding which ordinance provision applies, it's really hard to say, well, does it meet the ordinance provisions?
Well, let's go through those.
Sure.
So look at your February 13th memo. And Margaret asks, which ordinance provision allows for the reconstruction of a dwelling?
But to back up,
Uh-huh.
to kind of explain maybe what Diane's going to say, this is a lot that is zoned,
Resource protection.
but I can't remember, well, I guess it is all resource protection.
All but a little tiny
Yeah.
sliver, there's like it's like 4 feet by 18 feet, something like that. So there's a little tiny sliver that is not.
I think the
resource
surrounding
Okay.
area is shoreline residential.
Okay. Okay.
This is zoned resource protection because of a freshwater wetland that's in the proximity. Any freshwater wetland.
It's actually saltwater. I just want, it's not freshwater, it's mixed.
Oh, see, I didn't know that.
Where,
There's-
Brackish.
where
Right.
is it? Where
Yeah, I
is it?
couldn't
I could
find
not find it.
Yeah. I wanted it to be on the chart so I could,
Wayne Wood is here, he was a surveyor, and he can answer questions too.
Okay.
It's over here.
It's not marked on the map,
No.
though.
There's a different map that's on it.
when you find it, let me know because I
Yeah,
couldn't
because
find it.
I couldn't find it.
Part of the reason you don't see it is because that wetland is not on the property, it's on the abutting property.
Right, but it helps us to see how far away it is
Sure.
from the properry.
Okay.
Let me see if I can help explain that to you.
Okay.
Because if you look on the maps that we presented, to the east, I have some wetland symbols on where a stream flows down into the saltwater marsh.
Yeah.
Which one are you, can you hold it up? Do you mind? Thank
Would
you.
be this one, which is the same one that I think is in your packet anyway.
This
And-
one?
Do we have that?
Yeah, we do. It's this
came-
smaller. It's
It
this
came with
smaller.
my material,
Okay.
not with the application.
Can you, is it A 4.1 or A3?
No, it's not in that. It came with my review material.
So I've got this, that's the only map I've got.
No, in my draft with the draft motions and the memos and stuff. Oh, it's right there. It's that
okay.
one. Yeah. Is it? Oh, I think you might have passed it.
I feel like I'm having another out-of-body experience here.
Okay, all right.
It's near the back of the
It's,
packet.
It's called Plan of Land on Pennellville Road.
It's in this here. Right there.
Honestly, I need a magnifying glass to read this. I cannot read it.
Thank you.
It's not your fault. I'm just saying, this is really frustrating, and we were talking about this before the meeting. I literally, with some plans, am taking a magnifying glass and trying to find what is, and it makes it hard for us to do our jobs.
No, it doesn't enlarge well online either.
Yeah.
Not your fault.
No,
Yeah.
but we really need
If
to be
we
able
were
to read the
be able to
information.
submit to you with PDFs that we generate, you would be able to blow them up and read them. Just saying.
That would be good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be great.
So, we're back to the wetland. Could you,
On this plan, this is the property over here that we're talking about.
Yeah,
The coastal area comes around and in all the way up into here.
Okay.
Then there's a stream that comes down off from the
okay,
and everything else. There is a wetland that is associated with this stream that is your freshwater wetland.
okay,
That's freshwater up in here.
okay.
Sorry, I
Beyond
think I'm
this
doing
point,
that.
it's all part of the saltwater
Okay,
issues and is a coastal wetland, which is the same as it goes all the way around the entire beach.
so that's the Richard French and Eleanor Clark Children's Trust. Looks like it's on there. Okay, got it.
Was that what was referred to as flowage?
Yes.
Okay, that was a new word for me.
So,
I was going to kick that over there.
the boundary of resource protection is 250 feet from the upland edge of the freshwater wetland. So that 250 feet, the kind of buffer, extends pretty much the whole area of this property, even though the wetland's not on his property. And that's where it gets very confusing as to which setback we're looking at and what use, the uses on the lot, and it's all because of this freshwater wetland that's kind of abutting it.
Okay,
So we have two different setbacks that we're dealing with, one from the freshwater wetland and the other from
The shore.
the coastal wetland, yeah.
okay. Okay,
And they interface.
okay.
That was Wayne Wood, the surveyor.
okay, thank you.
So what I'm trying to decide is whether to make sure that the planning board understands the difference between, or what's involved in 10.3.2.2 of the shoreline zoning ordinance, or 13.1.1.
And I don't think either one applies in this circumstance.
Yeah.
So my thinking, I'm thinking out loud here, I want to make sure that the board really understands what each one of those say before we say it doesn't apply.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
That does.
So if you can do that for us, by all means, go ahead, otherwise I'll read it for the
You
board.
can read it.
Okay.
I'd rather you did.
Okay, so looking at 10.3.2.2, reconstruction or replacement more than 50% of value. It says a couple of things. Any nonconforming structure that's damaged or destroyed by more than 50% of assessed value we have to address that here. Provided that the permit is obtained within 18 months of said damage, destruction, or removal. And so this 18% and 50% assessed value ratio the 18 months and the 50% makes me ask Dan whether the structure has been lived in or not. Because
The question is not whether it's
been lived in, but has there been a permit within 18 months of that damage?
Do we know that it was damaged in a storm, or is it just kind of a falling down place?
It's-
Again, I wasn't on the sidewalk.
I wouldn't blame it on a storm.
Okay.
I think the threshold question is going to be the 50%.
And it's regardless of cause. So it's regardless of the cause. And if it's been lived in, that might change the way that you interpret that 18-month timeframe.
Okay, but let's assume that it does not meet
Okay.
the 50%.
Good.
So that's,
Would you say that it's been damaged by more than 50% for more than 18 months?
No.
Okay.
And the reason being is that it has been appraised at the same amount, a little bit over 24,000 for the last 4 years. Before that, it was appraised in 2021. The appraisal went down considerably. So we think that that's probably when the damage occurred.
In 2021?
Yeah.
So it would have been more than 18 months ago?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she's not arguing the fact that she doesn't think this provision applies?
I don't think this provision
Yeah.
applies.
I think we can all be in agreement.
Because we have continued to assess it at a certain amount.
Yeah.
This is the second time the assessing office has done this. Not placing any blame here, but this is really an interesting situation. Okay, all right. So what I'm hearing is that the assessed value has remained consistent. It has not decreased
Since 2021?
Since 21.
2021. So, okay, everybody get that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So that's 10.3.2.2.
so that does not apply.
Apparently not, although on the face of it, if it hasn't been lived in, I guess it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Okay, so now we go to 13.1.1. Moving right along.
Moving backwards.
Okay.
Shoreland zoning ordinance,
10.3.1, is that what you said?
Yeah.
13.1.1 in the shoreland zoning.
Yeah, okay.
So, from what I understand, this provision in 13.1.1, for all those interested, it allows you to build a new structure within a lot zoned resource protection. And this provision's really meant for an undeveloped lot. That's to say, when the state made us adopt these shoreline zoning ordinances, all of these lots that were previously you could build on, now we've called them resource protection and they've lost all their value. You know, for them to say, like, you could have built on it last year, but now we've got zoning and now it's resource protection and you can't do anything with it. So this is my interpretation, so they're like, we'll give you a bone as a property owner. We think this is a high value, ecological lot, but we understand that you still need to retain some value on the lot. So we'll allow you to build on an undeveloped lot, zoned resource protection, will allow you to build to these standards. So that we're not doing a taking of the value of your land.
Well,
But
I
this
just
has
want
been
to,
developed.
yeah, and I just want to,
No.
this is where the legal question is.
Yeah.
Because if you can get any value from that property, then it's not a taking. That's my understanding. Dan, as a lawyer, would probably, if you could put a campsite there, then you have value.
But you're not really supposed to put anything on resource protection.
Correct.
So,
But
so this is,
So taking value, though, doesn't necessarily mean you get to build a house.
but this was the department's, I think, agreement with the landowners.
Okay.
Like, we're going to take a lot of your development potential away but we will allow you, if you meet this criteria, and your land already existed, the lot already existed when it was put in resource protection, and it's not developed, you haven't built a house there already, you can still build one house.
So is the assessed value for the land or the structure?
That is just the structure. But the assessed value for the land and the structure together has also been consistent for the last 4 years.
Okay, so the assessed value for the structure has been consistent.
I included that in my
Okay.
review.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just-
So I just want to make it clear, though, my understanding is that the state Supreme Court has said that if you can get any use off that land, it's not a taking. So I want to make sure that it doesn't have to be that you can build a single-family structure. Is that your understanding, Dan?
No, but
Okay.
you're entitled to your opinion.
Well, I don't want to have an opinion. I
Okay.
want to.
But I don't think that is going to be the issue here. The
But I
issue-
just wanted to give you guys some context as to where this idea of 13.1.1 comes from.
Yeah.
And what the intent is behind it.
I was really addressing Margaret's point.
Yeah. So essentially, we're dealing with 13.1.1 in a resource protection district, and I think Margaret explained that very well, is for property that is completely undeveloped.
This is developed, right?
But this is developed.
Right.
It is
So
Which
developed.
means
doesn't
that that
really apply.
provision does not
Does not
apply.
apply.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now we go back to the other ordinance that we were looking at, 10.3.2.2. That does not apply.
No.
Correct.
So my question, and I think the issue that we're all dealing with is, what applies? Because we have nothing that applies.
There is nothing in the ordinance nor in the state that applies to this particular condition.
It is a complete oversight.
Yeah.
Do you know how long it's been since that property was lived in?
4 years, 4.5 years? 4.5 years.
So it was lived in, was it lived in?
Well, summer cottage lived in.
It's a camp, kind of.
Yeah, it
Right.
was a summer cottage, basically. It was
right.
lived in during the summers
Okay.
by his grandfather. This is Joshua Kay,
Hi, Josh.
local lobsterman, and he wants to build on the family property. That's been in his family for generations.
Okay.
Is,
So we go, I really struggled with, well, what allows Joshua to be able to rebuild?
Yeah.
I personally, and I tried to use all my resources. And it sounds like, Diane is in the same boat, like,
Yeah.
what provision would allow him to rebuild? It doesn't seem like a good use of the lot to not rebuild, but I don't know what standards do we even use? And I just think that, personally, I would like some more time to be able to do some more research and have a conversation with the applicant, have a conversation with the DEP, have a conversation with our attorney or their attorney, or,
So I have a question. So we don't have anything that if there's already a dwelling in a resource protection on a lot that's resource protection, we don't have anything that says if you can replace that dwelling?
We do. That's 10.3.2.2.
Tell me what that was in
That was the first
regular
thing that we-
English.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the one that allows you, say your house, say
the
the house was
50%?
there.
Yeah.
Right.
But it burned down last year. He'd be able to replace it. But because it's been damaged by neglect,
yeah.
is how we would say it. Not saying that anybody is neglectful, but
Yeah.
it's been
Yeah.
damaged from, lack of maintenance for at least 4 years, then this kind of clause that allows you to replace a non-conforming structure has elapsed.
So, okay, I
So-
mean, there's so many questions here, like, could a new structure meet any of the setbacks?
Yes, I can answer that.
Okay,
The only one it does not meet, for regular shoreline zoning, not for resource protection. The only one it does not meet is the front. Right now, it's 3'4" from the water, from the high water mark.
Okay.
And we proposed, taking it back 23 feet, so
but it's in resource protection.
the whole lot is in.
So can it meet the setbacks for resource protection?
There is no setbacks in resource protection that I could find.
Well, there are two setbacks from
Yeah.
resource protection, sometimes 75 feet and sometimes 250 feet.
Yeah, and it doesn't meet either one of those.
It doesn't meet either one.
It doesn't mean, okay. And I have like a more timely question, I think,
yeah.
is that can you resume a non-conforming use in RP if you haven't had that use in 5 years?
Yeah.
But that was the original use,
It was.
was it?
Right.
A dwelling.
But that
Right.
was before we got into the resource protection.
Right, I'm just trying
Yeah.
to look at logic here. I know that that doesn't have a lot to do with things sometimes, but we
But
do-
our whole difficulty is, we're trying to find some set of standards to evaluate the petition.
Yeah.
And, and we also have the issue at this point about trying to figure out what the actual high annual tide mark is and what the actual survey is, because I know the surveyor, pulled hair out.
That is something that the surveyor would have to answer.
Yeah.
Do you want to say something?
Hi, my name's Joshua Kay. I'm a lifelong fisherman of this area. I've fished out of Cundy's Harbor since I was 10 years old. I actually started on this property with my grandfather when I was 10 years old. I've been lobster fishing for 40 years out of Watson's Wharf. It has been my lifelong dream to build this house in replacement. It got beyond repair after my grandfather had passed. It was willed to stay in the family to my mother and my aunt. Nothing was able to be done with it for a while. My mother had passed recently. I did extensive work to get the deed corrected, which took lengthy time of over 2.5 years. After that, I've been working with John and Tim and Tony with codes, and they've been great. We've done everything that we can do to try to satisfy and meet all the recommendations or ask. One of them was that be, proven that it was a lot of record. We've since proven that to satisfaction, I believe. I have gotten an easement from the abutting property owners, which are actually relatives of mine. They're third cousins. And I use the property, I have used the property all along to store my lobster traps down there during the, all year. I actually am a resident of Brunswick currently and have been my whole life. So I guess I would, what do we need, to rebuild a house on this property? I mean,
That's what we're trying to figure out.
And that's exactly what we're trying to figure out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because we've got two ordinances which are attempting to deal with a piece of property that doesn't fit into either of them. And in most cases, we're going to find that, okay, this is a blank piece of property and resource protection. We know what the requirements are. And if I were to make the judgment myself, what I would do is I would treat it as though it were, since it hadn't been used for 5 years, to treat it as though it's an undeveloped piece of property and to use those standards. But that's something that I can't make that call. But the other part of the ordinance that talks about non-conforming uses and 50% value and all that, that also doesn't apply, but there is no way right now that we can see how you can put those two things together to give us standards to evaluate where you could put the building. And that's what we're trying to deal with. So, as much as I'd like to be able to say, boy, and I agree with Margaret, as much as we want you to be able to have you use that property productively, we, at this point, have no idea, frankly, no idea what kind of standards to apply to it until we get some direction.
Can we go to the state, since the state threw us a bone in this other instance? I mean, is this something, can you actually,
Yeah, I think it would be.
contact somebody and say, here's our situation?
We did,
Well, yeah,
Oh.
I have.
yeah.
What did
And?
it say?
And he said that it was it was developed, it's all in resource protection, and there's nothing in the state ordinance, the state guidelines that also applies to this, so.
Yeah, that's another way that we determined that it was developed, was from the state.
Oh, well, has a house on it, so I don't even have to go to an ordinance. Just
If it was
that's
deemed,
developed.
if it was deemed undeveloped,
Right,
then we
right.
have an option.
Right.
Yeah,
I know, it just seems silly.
yeah.
It does
I think
seem
it would be a
silly.
non-conforming structure
You-
to rebuild.
It seems silly,
It's also a
but
non-conforming use, though, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And can you resume a non-conforming use? That is a whole, it's a whole different question.
Did your grandfather ever live there full time? His whole life he lived in that cottage, so it's
Right.
not a,
Yeah,
It didn't
that's-
used to be a non-conforming use,
but
right?
it's resuming a non-conforming use, because,
It's
so
the
you're.
same idea as like if you have a residential structure in commercial fishing
Yeah.
and you don't use it for 5 years, can you resume the use?
The answer is no.
The answer is no.
No.
And then I'm fairly certain that a residential use is non-conforming in RP, although I couldn't find it in writing.
but if they allow residential houses to be built in there,
I know.
it cannot be that it's not allowed.
It was
I
like
was thinking the
grandfather.
same thing. I did try to get answers to these questions, but was unable.
So has
Yeah,
this piece,
I tried to get answers, and
What about,
he
does
did not have
Brunswick
answers,
have
so-
something that is similar to this? I mean, they have some of these. Don't they have the same situation that we do? I mean, did they answer that question, and maybe we can
I just
pose it
think
to them?
we either need.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're
Yeah.
similar. They have
that-
similar
That's a good
problems.
point. Yeah, Brunswick or Yarmouth
Yeah.
or Freeport.
Yeah.
Their ordinances could be significantly different from yours.
They sure can be.
Right.
I know.
What, on your, whether it's an allowed use or not, if you look at your use table for shoreline zoning, under single-family and two-family, it's listed planning board permission with a caveat under conditions, number 10.
Yep.
So that, to me, it's an allowed use.
But condition number
With
10
conditions.
refers you back to
Correct.
13.1.1 or whatever, which
Yeah.
you know we can't apply.
It's like, we're in a circle.
it's a circular problem.
So if we table this and we allow more time for more information and more digging around, would that be something, I mean, do you feel like you've exhausted the limits of your information gathering, or do you feel that you could do more if you had more time?
Definitely, more with more time. Either we could all meet with Jeff Kalinich together. I think more likely our town attorney can help me. I don't know
Okay.
if
Yeah.
So-
they want to get an attorney involved and we get attorney involved. I
So
don't know.
that's what I was hoping you
But-
would say.
Oh, without a doubt. I already
Yeah.
reached out to her. She's
Okay,
just
so
on vacation.
based on Margaret's advice that she can do more research and work more with the applicant, I'm going to make a motion that we table this application.
We also would like more time to
Absolutely.
research.
Good, good.
Good.
That's excellent.
So I will make a motion, Amy Hybel makes a motion to table the application, looking for a second.
I
Yep.
second.
Go ahead.
Christine Donovan Hall seconds.
All right, all those, any discussion on
Can't
the
have a
motion?
Motion to table, it's not debatable.
Oh, this attorney.
Wait, will you read it the way I wrote it on the back of that memo?
I move that the planning board continues the application of Joshua K. at map 49, lot 7, until the applicant submits an amended application to the planning board at a future date, which will answer the threshold questions outlined in the memo by the town planner dated February 15th, 2025.
That's
Oh,
better.
it's supposed to be February 13th. We'll try that.
Yeah,
All right.
February
Thank you,
13th.
sorry.
Okay, that is my motion. That is made by Amy Hybel. I'm looking for a second to that motion.
Second that one?
I'll just second. Christine Donovan Hall second.
Okay, thank you. Can we debate that?
You can debate that.
Okay, thank you. Is there any discussion about that motion?
Can I
No.
make a comment?
Yeah,
We need to know what our next steps would be. Is that, what we talked to Margaret?
yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Sure.
Yeah.
you're looking at me, but I'm not.
All those in
voting?
favor? All
Okay.
those in favor?
Courtney
Okay.
Snelling's aye.
Amy Hybel, aye.
Dan Hobeck, aye.
Christine Donovan Hall, aye.
All right, unanimous. We're going to essentially continue the application until the planner's information has been planner's questions have been resolved.
At some point or another, our whole goal is to be able to find standards to apply to the application.
Yep, I
And
can
once we
design
can do
anything
that-
that will apply to standard.
And what zone is it in?
Yeah.
What zone is it in? Has it, you know,
And help us. Help us to help you.
lots of outstanding questions there. Okay, so I think the next two should be a little bit more straightforward.
Come on, Ray.
All right, the next item is 260202, John.
I'm just gonna run out to my car.
Okay.
Okay, so
Yeah,
we'll,
you can get started. I'm familiar with the application.
okay.
Bet you are.
John and Kelly Conaway, civil consultants and well-housed applicants, Lot 238 Summerside Lane. This is a consideration of the board's exercising jurisdiction for the review of an application to reconstruct a non-conforming structure. I'm going to ask our vice chair to give us a site review report, and then we have a butter letter that we need to make sure that we read as we go through this. So Dan, do you want to give us your report?
Sure.
Shine the light on you.
At the Monday, at the site walk a week ago Monday, I was there representing the board. Margaret was there as the town planner, and we had two representatives of code there as well. This also is a small lot. When we got out there, apparently at one point or another, there was a question about whether this was a simple reconstruction. However, when we got there, we found out that what is instead intended is to do a complete rebuild.
No.
No, that's right, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. You're going to raise it and put some
Yes.
stuff under
Yeah.
it.
Do you want me to go first, and then I can kind of give a brief?
Well, I
would- I just-
Okay.
No, the
Okay.
answer is no, because as the chair, I have asked for our vice chair to give a report on his, normally we go and look at all the different sites,
We didn't this
Yep.
time.
but Dan was
Okay.
the only person that could do that this
Yep,
time, so
I'm-
he's
I met
giving
Dan
us
at the
his
site.
report.
Yep.
Thank you.
So, aside from that, there is nothing particularly unusual about the site.
Could you see the boundary lines and
Yes.
all that?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, all right, thank you very much. Any questions from the board?
Nope.
Okay, now,
Sorry,
take it
Madam Chairman.
away.
Sure.
Thank you.
My name is Jeff Oliva, and I am an engineer with Civil Consultants, and we are here helping the new owners with a project that is in the shoreland zone. The existing building is below the current flood maps, so the project here is to raise the existing house, put a new foundation underneath the house, which will be a concrete pier-type foundation that meets the requirements for the town and the state for flow-through. As part of that project, what we're proposing to do is to make some renovations to the building and to the existing decks on the property to reduce some of the nonconformance of the lot coverage that are outside of the setbacks. This property has setbacks 25 feet from the property lines and 75 feet from the ocean. There's a very, very small building envelope that is allowable on this piece of property. The sheet I have up here is the existing conditions plan. The existing building is in green on this sheet with the red lines being setbacks. And you can, I'm going to come over here and just grab this.
Yeah.
And try not to cover everybody. But this area here,
Yeah.
I follow the pen, is the house. And the existing deck wraps on the side and along the front here and dies off on the corner.
Okay, that's the existing house.
This is existing. This
Okay.
is existing right now. There is a deck and a covered area here. There's a little ramp that you walk up to get up to the first floor in the entrance into this building. And what this line here represents the building envelope where everything would be in compliance. What we're proposing, like I mentioned, is really, the main emphasis here is to raise the building to get it out of the flood zone to protect it from
the potential flood waters. As part of that, what we were proposing to do is to do a renovation in the back side of the building, where the back building, if you look at the photographs in there and the architectural drawings, is this front building along here that faces the ocean is a 2-story structure. In the back is a 1-story structure. What we were proposing to do is to fill in these corners, because this back area bumps in a little bit, and make this a 2-story area, while removing these shaded areas in gray that are existing outside of the setback and are non-conforming. We would get rid of this wooden deck, covered porch, covered kind of access area here, and the deck area here, remove that, and expand the deck in the area where we can that meets the setback. And that's really the general of the project. There was some questions, and one of the items in there in the staff letter is that there was a question about increasing the non-conforming distance on the north side of the property. And what that was is really, and that's why I prepared this plan here, is to show you that that wasn't my error in dimensioning in the computer program. Since we're just lifting the building straight up, there won't be any changes to the setback reduction on this side, but we are removing portions of the building here. As you can see, what we're trying to do is infill this area for the second floor, so this setback would become slightly smaller or reduced with the addition because of just the way the squaring off the building is. But we're hoping that that would be offset by the amount of area that we're taking out of non-conformance and taking that away as a project.
Whoop.
That happens all the time.
It's the gremlins.
I knew it was going over.
Yeah, that's all right. We're not very high-tech here.
Happens all the time.
So this application is before the board as a jurisdictional question. And we can either decide to take jurisdiction or not.
Oh, yeah, blame me now. I think you tighten that one.
So, thank you.
They get lugged around.
Jeff, are you complete?
I think so. I think I'm better at answering questions than doing the monologue type of deal.
Okay.
But I think I've addressed the main areas here, and I just wanted to clear up any confusion that this is not a tear down and a rebuild. This is lifting the existing building up and doing a small addition on the back within kind of the footprint area and removing some ancillary items that are outside and reducing that nonconformance.
Okay, thank you.
We are proposing to build a deck in the areas that are allowed within the building envelope, but that's outside of the jurisdiction of a nonconformance.
Okay, all right. Margaret, do you have any, because I just looked at you.
It's really, this one's very hard because
They're all hard.
they're all hard tonight. Both Codes and I were under the impression it was a tear down rebuild when it got put on the agenda. I think there is a question about whether or not it's truly the board's jurisdiction. Are they removing more than 50% of the value? But we've gotten this far, we can discuss it. I think it's a good public process if, we could continue with this discussion. We could not continue with the discussion. Typically, we're not involved in just raising up a building and putting a foundation underneath it. I will say that this project's brought up a lot of really interesting points. For instance, and we've talked about this a couple times, they are raising up their structure to be in compliance with the flood ordinance.
Right.
Which is cool, more compliance, right, with the ordinances. But what it means is that they need stairs now to get up into their structure where they didn't need stairs before.
Yeah.
And on a little building like this, they're taking up, the stairs are going to eat up precious floor space. And so should they be allowed to build new non-conforming stairs to access the structure to bring it in compliance with a different ordinance? So I think that this, even though it's not really I think that the board could continue with the review. I think it's a good, or the board, I don't know.
If the board continued its review, what would we be reviewing?
Just the relocation of the structure. I mean, the same thing that we always do.
It's not really a relocation, it's just making it higher.
Well, it could be a relocation. They could move it.
Wasn't there did you mention, this was right before the board fell, so I then lost my brains. Did you say that in one part, it's going to be more non-conforming, and you were trying to make up for that with making parts of it less
Yeah.
non-conforming?
Yeah, I can go to
Can
that.
that be
So,
done?
I think if the applicant's comfortable, we could continue with the review.
Sure.
well, I mean, I think
We've gotten this far. It's kind
yeah, I
of.
mean, we've gotten this far so I'm gonna go take a step back and talk about the stairs issue with that, with raising a structure now having to have stairs and access to that. What we've looked at in projects I've been involved with in the past that have had DEP review, that have been in the shoreland, in the resource protection, in the dune systems, is that they do not look at stairs as being an impediment to gaining access to the property. We count them as lot coverage. So our proposed project here actually reduces lot coverage overall compared to what's there now by what we're taking away and what we're adding onto it. So there's the section that we're potentially increasing in nonconformance is where this setback from the existing building to this property line is 10.3 feet currently. If the building were to be squared off and these two sides here infilled with structure, the setback becomes 10.1. So that's the area. So, I mean, if it's going to look negatively or toward the board not going to agree with that, then I think we'd like to continue massage this and not get a denial and then come back and say that. But overall, what we're doing is we're reducing the non-conformance area here by removing all these dark gray areas and taking that out of the sections that are, reducing the non-conformance. So the area that's outside of the setbacks, that's covered by structure, mostly deck in this case, in building, is being reduced by, we're going from 120 to 15 square feet. So,
Right. I think that's.
so it's one of those type of things, and I didn't realize that you guys have this kind of, you can take it away and say, code can handle this, or whatever that is. I mean, we feel that code can definitely review this because of the fact that, it's really a raise up in place in a small building addition in the back for bedroom space. In the package, I believe there's the foundation plan and all the building plans are in the package.
Yep.
I just think I'm comfortable with it going to codes. I don't know what anybody else thinks. So
Likewise.
Yeah, I am too. Okay. Just want to make sure that you're going to reuse the old building. Okay.
Yep.
I really want to make sure that, just because we've kind of been caught off guard, because we kind of didn't do our homework quite as much as we could have, and we've approved stuff that just
Changes, yeah. that's right,
really,
yep.
really changed. So,
Yeah, and that's part of the reason why we included so much
Yeah.
detail on our plans.
Yeah.
And you can see in those architectural sheets that Stephanie has put in the existing floor plans, the existing elevations, and the proposed.
Yeah.
So that you can see where what's staying is staying, and then the
Yeah.
area in the back is
Okay.
going to be new.
all right.
So do you want to just remand it to codes?
Do you want to make a motion, Christine?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we remand this to the codes office.
Dan Hobeck, second.
All right, any discussion? No? All right, all in favor?
Courtney Stallings, aye.
Amy Hybel, aye.
Dan Hobeck, aye.
Christine Donovan Hall, aye.
Do you want to,
Jim, aye.
Okay, good.
Your first vote.
Oh, yeah.
Yay. There
easy
you
one.
go. All right.
Used to be the chairman of my town's planning.
Thank
board,
you.
so I know what it's like.
Okay, so.
Thank you very much.
Project has
Thank
been
you. Work with
remanded to
codes.
codes. Thank you.
When I saw everybody saying we're going to be absent, I was like, oh, no.
All right, last item on the agenda tonight is Cynthia Mulcahy, owner and Centerline Design and Build, map 19, lot 37, 34 Pot Point Road.
And arguably the least complicated of them all.
I know, yeah.
You
We
weren't
saved the
there.
best for last.
I know.
Good one.
I'm glad because
As the
I think.
brains continue to
our-
leach away.
Yes, our brains are slowly frying. Okay. All
Tonight, the
right.
applicant is joining us by Zoom.
Oh, okay.
Oh, great.
Ah, there we go. All
Hey,
right.
everybody, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah. All
Okay.
right, do you want my,
Mr. Hobeck, could you give us a review, a report?
okay, this was, the site walk a week ago Monday was attended by me and Margaret. No members of Code Enforcement Office were there. This is a very small lot, and the size of the lot makes it completely unusable if all setback requirements were to be met. There's a fairly significant drop-off to the water, meaning that the likelihood of high water intruding on the dwelling is highly unlikely. As the building presently stands with a residence and a garage, it is designed in an extremely inefficient manner. And what the proposal intends to do is to make the property usable, yeah, for lack of a better term.
All right. Margaret, do you have any comments on the increasing or decreasing nonconformance?
Yeah, so this lot is zoned also resource protection. I know, right? The applicant, I think, is proposing a decrease in nonconformity overall. It's really a small lot. It was impactful to be there because you're like, oh, the deck that looks so big compared to the house is really like just you could do a cartwheel across it and that would be it. The one thing I would say from a shoreline zoning perspective, there is a house and a garage, and they're connected by a concrete pad, a little patio. In the shoreline zoning world, that is considered a structure by definition, and they can replace a structure, and so they can replace it and expand it into something real. So they propose to kind of just take two inefficient structures connected by a concrete pad and make one seasonal cottage.
Okay. Margaret's findings tell us that it's reasonable for the planning board to remand the application to the CEO. Does the applicant have anything that they'd like to share with the board?
Not too much, just that we're going to stay within our existing footprint. We're going to kind of bridge the garage and the existing house. I think the house is about built around 1900, so it's definitely old and need of an upgrade, and it's kind of their like family house that they've used for forever. So yeah, not too much else to add. We're taking back some of the building that's close to the lot line, pulling back a little bit, so we are staying within the footprint of what's existing. We will add 2 decks. There's a deck in the back, so they'd like to keep that because that's their backyard space. And then there's a deck in the front, which will not be as large as what's there. And, that's pretty much it as far as the footprint.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. McGregor.
Anybody from the
Yeah,
public?
yeah. We have a George Classic, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, and a Todd. Any desire to participate or share? Any questions?
No questions.
Okay, no questions, thank you. That's from Todd. I'm not hearing any response from George.
Well, I don't have any questions either.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. All right, I will entertain a motion.
Wait. Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Then we've got it covered, all right.
We
Can
got
I
it
ask a
covered.
question before your motion? or would you-
Absolutely.
I couldn't read any of the numbers on here because they were so small, but
What's the lot size? I was going to ask the lot size.
I'm looking like square footage and that kind of thing, and I just wasn't able
Yeah.
to.
It's about 5,100 square feet. I think it's about 75 at the street and sort of goes back to about 55 feet at both the side lots. So there's no, none of it's conforming as is at this point.
Right, but what you are replacing it, right? You're replacing, it's not just
Yes.
joining it up. I mean, is it the square footage pretty close to that, or is it a lot more square footage?
Yeah, the footprint remains the same. It's a little less, probably about, I would say, 20 to 30 square feet less, just
Okay.
because of the arrangement of the garage to the house. So we're trying to stay within the bounds of the footprint.
Okay, thank you.
Because there's nowhere for them to go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I could see that.
Welcome to Harpswell.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
All right. Again, any other questions? Public, board, anybody?
I think I interrupted, you made a motion, and then no one seconded it. I will
And I said
second.
I would entertain a motion.
Oh, you'd entertain
I will
it.
entertain a
Are
motion.
you going to read the motion the way it's,
Yeah,
Do I want to read the motion? Let me see.
it's on,
On page 3.
It's like, it's the one, I move the planning board
Yeah.
demands. Yeah,
That's
I can
it.
read that.
oh,
Yeah.
do that.
I'll have to do, I don't know what I can with the name, but please forgive me for mispronouncing it.
it's Mulcahy.
Mulcahy?
Yeah, that's,
I move that the planning board demands the application of Cynthia Mulcahy to reconstruct a non-conforming structure on Lot 37 on map 19 that will continue to be non-conforming with respect to the property line and coastal wetland setbacks to the code enforcement officer for processing.
yeah.
If the proposed reconstruction deviates substantially from this proposal, the town planner shall require that the revised proposal be re-reviewed by the planning board to determine if the board wants to take jurisdiction for the review of the application.
Motion been made. Anybody want a second?
Dan Hobeck, second.
Hobeck, second. Any further discussion? Jim, would you like to vote?
Jim Babarski, aye.
Courtney Snellings, aye.
Amy Hybel, aye.
Dan Hobeck, aye.
Christine Donovan Hall, aye.
All right. You going to Codes Office, thank you very much for your participation. Sorry I had to wait so long.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good luck.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, we have a couple
right,
more
thank you.
things, right?
Thank you. Now, consideration of the minutes from November 19th and January 21st, 2026 meetings.
You don't have the January 1st,
No.
21st ones because they're not done yet.
All right.
And I'm sorry, it took me so long to go through these that I was unable to
Yeah,
finish reading. First, I wondered why I only had 2 pages.
Yeah.
But then I was like, oh my God, it's 15 pages, and I just couldn't, so
Yeah.
I am sorry.
I didn't either.
Okay.
So we'll just put
Anybody-
it on. the
anybody
agenda.
else?
I didn't
Yeah.
read
Did
it.
I
you
read
review
them,
them?
yeah.
You read them?
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, if Dan thinks they're okay,
I think
I'll
they're
vote
fine.
yes. Dan thinks they're fine?
They are a different style, so I said this at the last meeting. I really want you guys to read them.
Yeah.
Because they're being done by the bookkeeper now who does the select board minutes. So I want to get your approval on the new style to make sure that you think that it will be good for everybody's understanding in the future.
Yeah.
Cool.
I don't have a problem with it.
There were some misspellings, Snelling and Hobeck.
Oh, that is because I didn't do them.
Oh, was it
That's
you?
why
Okay.
Chow for Amy Chow was misspelled. I fixed it.
I didn't notice that, that's because it wasn't my name.
Well, it's because it got fixed by the time it got to you too. So we'll put it on for the next
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't
Okay.
want to read them, I'm sorry.
Okay. And then we have planners update, a recap of the February 4th public hearing and a
Seems like
comp
an
plan
eternity
update. You want
ago.
to do that?
Yeah.
It seems like an eternity ago, the February 4th public hearing.
know.
There was one person here, Ann Caldwell, and she mentioned a clarification, and that was it. And it's going to be on those 4 ordinance amendments. Jim, you weren't here. They're very, very minor.
Okay.
It's just really, it's just,
Are they on the site? I could read them.
yeah, I can give you a copy too.
Thank you.
The one thing that I would suggest is that you go back and where the agenda, correct a small spelling error under your public hearing.
Oh, pubic hearing, that's funny.
What is this?
Public hearing, thank you. That is very helpful, thank you. Something spell check just
I'm
won't get
sure you're
for
the
you.
only person in the world who's ever made that error.
Comprehensive plan update. The comprehensive plan was, as you know, at the end of November, it was deemed inconsistent and incomplete by the state. The comp plan committee came back together. We proposed a bunch of revisions. We sent it to the state. They deemed it complete and consistent. So now we kind of have 2 different versions of the plan, one that's been adopted by the voters and one that's been adopted by the state. So now the voters have to adopt the amendments at the March town meeting. Right.
Yeah, and the amendments were really minor.
were so nitpicky.
They were very nitpicky. They don't change the plan in any way, really. One of them was a recommendation to have the codes office be trained in a certain way, and we already do that, but they just needed to see it in writing. So it was that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So onward to implementation, and we'll see what happens there.
I have a couple other things really fast. Does anybody have an update on when Lori is going to resign? I wanted to ask her that in person because putting that in an email makes it sound like I want her to resign, but I just didn't know if anybody had heard from her.
I don't have an update. As I recall, she said a month or something, but I don't recall.
Okay.
But I don't think she has submitted a formal resignation yet. has
No.
she?
I don't
No,
think
no,
so.
and she just hasn't been to an event for me to ask her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, and she did say that she wasn't going to make the meeting,
That's
rather than
right.
saying.
Right.
That's right.
Right.
Taking.
So she's still on the board. I just
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, she
Yeah,
is.
she hasn't asked to be taken off the mailing list.
Yeah, and then the last thing I want to say is that there was a town attorney, not a town attorney. She is an attorney for a different town, but an attorney for representing a couple of her clients on High Head came to the select board meeting a couple weeks ago, and it has to do with when the planning board denied the Hegarty Wharf application in High Head back in June, I want to say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Was it June, July? Howard was still here, whenever
Yes,
that
he
was.
yeah.
And it comes down to whether or not lots within a subdivision older than 1971 who have legal deeded access to a community dock, in this case,
Oh,
it would be
yeah,
High Head Yacht
that's-
Club, if they can also build their own private docks. I don't think, because it's not officially on the agenda, I don't think we should discuss like the merits of the proposal, but I just wanted to give you guys an update. She was here, they made their presentation, the board decided she really wanted to get it on March town meeting. And
Get what on the meeting?
she proposed an ordinance
An
amendment
ordinance amendment? Oh,
to
okay.
clarify that subdivisions older than 1971 could have their own private docks.
Okay.
Even if they have legal deeded access. So the select board discussed it and they opted to wait to talk to our own town attorney before they decided to send it to the planning board for a public hearing. So they have talked to the town attorney, and I think that we will see it come back at some point.
As
The
the
select
applic-
board hasn't made any decision, so I don't,
You mean the ordinance amendment will come back, or the application will come back?
I think there will be an ordinance
I
amendment.
think
that-
one will follow the other for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We would need to adopt the ordinance amendment.
Right.
Don't we need
Because
to
it's-
discuss it first? Because, I mean, just because they're a selectman doesn't mean they know anything about planning.
Well, and the
No, but
reason.
the way it works is.
I'm just
You
saying.
think?
So if you look in the basic land use ordinance, there's three ways to kind of get an ordinance amendment through. One is by a vote of the planning board, one is by a vote of the select board, or the third way is through a petition of voters. So voters, they can, it's 10% of whoever was in the
That's right.
in the gubernatorial, voted in the last gubernatorial
That's
election. So it, regardless of anybody's feelings, they still have different ways to get an ordinance amendment voted on. Either way, no matter how it happens, it has to come in front of the planning board, so the planning board could hold a public hearing.
And does it have to go before town meeting?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So there you go.
But it just didn't make it on March, but I think that,
Right.
I'll
So
keep you guys updated on
We
what
are
the
not the
select board
final
thinks.
arbiters.
No,
No, okay. So
it
it'll-
is really, it's gonna be an interesting discussion when it does come up, though.
Yeah, because our decision was based primarily on the recommendation of our attorney. So,
Is it on the select board agenda?
No, and I didn't watch the meeting last week, but I think that they just said, I don't know what they said
We
at the
have to,
meeting
we're
last
gonna
week.
have to watch it now.
But
Yeah, I mean, I would
whenever there is
encourage-
changes, I'll let you know.
Margaret and I talked about this, and Margaret made a really good point, because I thought, well, I should go to the select board meeting, and Margaret sort of said, well, you need to stay
Neutral?
neutral on this, you can't, you need to, since it's been before the board already, and we made a decision about it, we need to stay neutral. So I think we would be fine staying abreast of what they do and just, watching the discussion, but probably not commenting or making an opinion.
but what we're really looking at with an ordinance amendment is to clarify a question that we all had.
Yeah?
Yes.
And I think at that point, we can talk about whether the clarification would be better to make it consistent with how we ruled before, or whether it would give more flexibility to people to make a change to it.
Well, that was also a specific case.
Yeah,
There were certain things about the case that we, talked about that were different.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
without discussing.
Including other prior actions within the subdivision.
Right,
So-
right.
Yes.
That's what I was
Yeah.
thinking about.
So, that'll, I think that if there's an ordinance amendment, it's certainly going to have to be written very carefully.
Well, now we
Okay.
see some area that we need to address, which is that gap that we ran into tonight.
Yeah.
The resource
Yeah.
protection and the building on that, obviously.
You mean the one where he was elevating it for
Yeah.
the flood?
No, the.
No,
the
no,
one
I'm
about-
talking about
is it
the
in-
problem
Oh.
that we couldn't address
Lot-
because
Yeah.
it
One
didn't
of,
fit.
no, yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously, that's going to need some action from somebody, because it's not the
Some
only time that's going to
clarification.
come up,
Yeah,
It's
'cause-
not.
right?
Yeah, because like Margaret was saying, we've got other properties in town that are going to
Right,
run under
so
the
this is,
same
yeah.
That may be a good
People might be
opportunity.
put into
Put it on our
resource
ordinance
protection.
amendment wish list.
Well, that gentleman down on Summerside where he was elevating the structure and then it's almost
yeah.
like a penalty, like you need stairs to access
Yeah.
the structure.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, could we put it in our ordinance to give them, allow them a little bit of encroachment for a set of stairs, kind of as a compromise, because they're getting it more conforming, and otherwise they're going to have to eat up all their floor space with a set of stairs.
Yeah.
Yeah, or they put the stairs underneath the structure,
I was
and then they have
thinking
to come
that,
up
too.
through the floor.
But even then you put you put stairs, it's eating up all that floor space in your house.
Why?
If
Because
you add-
each step, I guess, represents something? Is that it?
No, because it's like a big,
Oh.
the size of a stair, the whole cutout in your floor for a staircase is going to be huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's a
Yeah,
penalty.
it's unnecessary to penalize, I think. Okay.
Need to take notes on these very exciting ordinances.
know.
Right,
I
right?
know. So our next meeting is going to be in March. I don't know if daylight savings time, yeah, we'll be in daylight.
Is it
we'll
19?
I don't think-
Will we have made that
18.
change?
I don't think
18.
so.
The comp plan's having a public hearing next week for the, if anybody's interested.
I have that on my schedule, I know.
changes.
What day is that?
Next Thursday, I think it's the 26th. It's just, it's at 5 PM, so just prior to the select board.
Daylight savings is the 8th of March.
So yes, we will be.
Yeah, that's only 3 weeks away.
But it
I will-
won't be,
I
it
will-
won't be light at 8:30 PM, I
No.
can tell you that.
No.
Maybe
Margaret,
5.
I'm going to make that public hearing, but I have a class that I teach till 5, so
Yeah.
I'll come over after that.
Want to adjourn?
It doesn't matter. I think it'll be easy, right?
That's my hope.
I'm sure it will be. Okay. Anybody else have anything further to say? All right. Welcome again to our new member, and I
having me.
declare the meeting adjourned.